Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tacky Tablecloths, episode 12.
Where the tablecloths are tacky, and the men are even tackier.
Yeah, we are. You bet.
It's actually not a bad tagline.
So today we have a little bit of a different story to talk about. Usually we'll do, a little more, loose subjects, movie reviews, general conversation. But a story came to our attention here pretty recently, and we felt pretty obligated to, not obligated, but, pretty passionate about bringing it up and talking about it. So we're going to spend the bulk of this here episode talking about it.
It's why we're all in our fanciest attire, right?
That's right. We are professionals. So for anyone that doesn't live in the Columbus, Ohio area and isn't familiar, there's a church in the area called Xenos.
Christian Fellowship.
Yes, it's Is that the?
Yeah, yes. I think it's important that we include the Christian Fellowship part of it.
Christian Fellowship. And there's been a lot of talk in the area, especially Alex. You want to just talk about the website?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I started seeing people that I was friends with on Facebook, stuff like that used to be in Xenos, sharing these things. There are these posters going up around town. People were putting up, it just says like Xenos is a cult. And it's got this website, xenosisacult.com, on it. And so I was naturally curious because, I spent time in Xenos. I knew quite a few people who did also spend time in Xenos. And so I got onto it. And it's a website started by a man who wants to spread awareness of the strange and sometimes
borderline, not borderline, but completely unethical, borderline illegal activities. Like
these stories
allegedly
of people who were involved. It's a space for people to share their stories about things that happen to them in Xenos, and to allow people who are deeply involved in the group of Xenos,
or thinking about becoming involved,
like a chance to either, kind of a warning sign for those people who are trying to become involved, or like a wake-up call and a means of escape for the people who are in Xenos and deeply entrenched in it. And there's, according to a little blurb at the top of the website, there's over 700 submitted stories on there as of the filming of this episode. Mm-hmm. And just, my God, some of them are just absolutely heart-wrenching.
Yeah, when you sent it to me, was it last week?
Yeah.
Or earlier. Oh yeah, I guess today's Sunday. Earlier last week. I was going through some of the top ones on there, and it was just absolutely fucked up. There's stories of the leaders just in complete control of these people's lives in every aspect of them. Stories of people who have been raped and just their stories just completely ignored because someone in the church could never do that, or they're just trying to cover up these just absolutely terrible things that people inside of the church are doing to each other, or people outside of just sickening, really.
Sorry.
So before we get too deep into this, I think it would be best that we acknowledge that today we're going to be talking about experiences that we've had, things that we've read, and it is our intention to make this possibly a multi-part series where we bring on people who are going to be able to share their stories and be able to give us their real, I don't know what you want to call it, but the real story about their experiences at the church.
Yeah. We've been in contact with multiple people over the last week who've expressed interest. Unfortunately, we were going to have a guest on today, but we're gonna have to reschedule that. But we're really looking forward to that. Alex, I know you've been in contact with the.
Been trying to be in contact. It's
with
Site
what?
admin.
Oh, like other people.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about the guy
the
that's
owner
runs
of the website.
Yeah,
yes.
it's xenosisaccult.org.
Xenosisaccult.com.
Go ahead and visit
.com.
that.
And they also have an Instagram page as well.
They do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't check that out.
I believe that one's just called Xenos.
Yeah, he's been
I can.
a big help.
Oh, God,
definitely
yes,
gave you
no.
some resources to talk about.
I was like, about a week, whatever, when we started doing this, I was like, I really want to talk about this, but I have absolutely no idea to even, like, where to start from. And
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And I emailed him about it, and he was very helpful, gave me a ton of useful links and talking points, and this would not be possible without his involvement. I just want to say that before we even
Yeah,
get
so
into
thank
anything.
you very much,
Yeah,
sir.
Thank you very much.
So let's dive right in.
All right. Should we start with like just how the church came to be? Or the group came to be? Or?
Sure. If anyone is,
I mean, I actually pulled this straight off of Xenos itself.
Okay.
Their website, their official. This is their official history of Xenos. In the mid '70s, a group of OSU students started a underground Christian newspaper, and Dennis McCallum, who's now the head pastor of XCF, was one of the main ones. He was the only one mentioned by name in the introductory paragraph because that's kind of just how it goes once those people are the only ones who've gotten that far into a thing.
Right.
They started out as a newspaper called The Fish, and eventually started, passing it out, having little meetings, and they ended up creating this group together called Xenos Christian Fellowship. And the odd thing about that is Xenos is Greek for alien, and I couldn't really find any sort of a justification as to like why exactly it's called that.
like the context within Christianity, why they would.
I mean, maybe there's something like blatantly obvious that I'm
because
missing.
I remember like years ago when I first heard the name, I was just like Xenu.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
the
Scientology.
That's the first
emperor.
thing that came to mind when I was first introduced to Xenos. I was like, "What the hell am I getting myself into?" Because this is creepy sounding,
Right.
But
The fuck was that?
Creepy sounding.
Oh yeah.
that's King Crimson. That's not creepy.
Yeah. So then. So it's been around since the 70s.
In versions, yeah.
Right.
And it's just slowly spread its way up, and the actual detailed history of the group is really interesting. It goes into, there's been a lot of dissension over the years between the group, splintered many, many times. And I just thought that was a bit odd as well. That
Right.
was, I mean, good on them at least for admitting that in their history, but
But at the same
Sure.
time, they're doing their
I mean-
best to hide
Well,
the
yeah,
reasonings behind some
Right.
of those
That's-
separations.
that's
Right.
true. I'm
and,
just saying.
And that's what organizations like that do. They want to keep a lot of the negatives of anything that they've been a part of a secret.
That's true.
They don't want that out there.
So, maybe we should just, start focusing, on some of the things that Xenos does do, the way that they bring you in to start with, how
Yeah. So,
The recruitment.
They like
tactics.
to win you over with love. They like to win with love, is the phrase "love bombed." I believe I saw 4 or 5 times throughout people's stories on the website. And I can attest to when I was first introduced to Xenos. Should I just
Tell your story.
Yeah, just
All right,
tell
go
your
right ahead.
story.
I'll just tell my story first, I guess. So, I was first introduced to Xenos through a friend who had been brought by a friend, because that's always how it goes with Xenos.
yeah.
And it was I believe the start of my senior year. It was either the start of my senior year or like the end of my junior year in that summer. I don't exactly remember. Somewhere of high school, obviously.
Right.
Somewhere around that time frame, and like that's right as most of my friends were starting to like, pretty much all of them had girlfriends. We all had, you're like starting to get those after school jobs, and you've got school, and you're looking at colleges, and like, I personally never felt more isolated from everyone else around me that I did in that time frame. Because like all of my friends were always busy. I was never around any of them. They never had time to do anything. It started to just kind of make me feel like shit about myself because, I mean, that's just kind of the way that I am as a person. I tend to always overreact and overthink things. And so this was an opportunity, going into this Xenos thing was an opportunity to get to actually hang out with some of my friends who were going into it because they were into it for girls and other shit like that. And
Right.
it was like a chance to at least still be hanging out with them because outside of the context of that, I was never going to get to see them. So, just kind of came in. I didn't even have the best of intentions going in, I will admit. Like, I was a Christian, so I was like, this is Christian-based.
I'm just going to another church.
Yeah, basically, because I wasn't like an active practicer. I don't.
Right, and it's not like you like saw something and was like, wow, that message is great, I'm going to do that. It was more for the social aspect of it, the community.
Yeah,
and that's from what I've heard. That's why most people either they're having a bad time in their lives and feel that sense of community, or they get recruited by friends and be like, if my friend is doing this, then this sounds like a good thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And and like, pretty much from the first meeting on, like, I really felt like welcomed and loved, and like all these people all of a sudden were like giving a shit about me. I was like, talking to people on the daily, as opposed to like, usually my phone would never go off ever, and I would just kind of sit there by myself, like staring off into the distance, because
been there.
I was pretty deep into some depression at that time, and it really made me feel like I was important. Like I felt like these people really, really gave a shit about me, and that's like, at the time, it just felt really, really good. Like I was talking to these people my age, people older than me. I was meeting with a mentor every week. We were, just going over Bible stuff. We were just like meeting at a coffee place, like getting coffee.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Were you meeting with a mentor or a discipler? Did they call it
They
specifically
never
a
used
discipleship
specific
relationship
terms with me.
Oh,
No.
really? Okay. Because I had heard that word discipleship tossed around a lot in a mentor capacity, where you're paired up with somebody who's older than you or something in the church, and then you basically pour out yourself to them. They give you advice, etc.
I mean, that is basically what was happening, because it's not like I was the only person that dude was helping with.
But it was a one-on-one interaction.
It was a one-on-one,
right?
yeah. That term was never used, but from what I've seen of people's experiences, mine seemed to be a little less on the, like, language side of, like, everything having those weird specific titles and everything.
Yeah.
Mine did seem to be a little looser about that. Not sure if that's, like, just them trying to, like, cool it up a bit or something
Right,
like that.
because you're not quite fully indoctrinated. It's
Well, I mean, it didn't seem like they were using that kind of language with anyone, even the people who were a long time.
Okay.
Do you know what sect of the church you were attending? Do you know if you were attending a West Side campus, a North Side campus, the East Side campus, or the Westerville campus?
I mean, it would have technically been Westerville when I was in high school, because, like, all of our meetings were in Westerville.
And you were attending the one off of 270? Were you going to that church?
No, it was all in-home.
It was all the home church?
It was all home church.
Okay.
Yeah. It was all, in this
because
one dude's living room.
the West Side Xenos, they are very specific about how you go about your they're very specific about when you're trying to progress in the church, what your steps are to get to that your next goal or
Your
whatever
next
it is. Your next level.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that just wanted to clarify that.
So what? Like once you like, how active were you with them?
I went every single week.
How many times per week?
In the high school levels, it was just one was every week, and then there were occasionally there was one on Sunday that was every week, and then there was almost every week there was one on a Tuesday. I made it to pretty much every single Sunday one, but there were... Sorry, it's not picking me up, I can tell.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I just don't want this part to be, inaudible.
No, you're good. Yeah, you got it. Just directly into it.
I've tried, man.
You're good.
I would show up to almost every single Sunday. There were a couple I couldn't make because of work, and they didn't make me feel bad about it in these beginning stages, but it was like, man, you really got to be here, man. But I believe, every single Tuesday one, because Tuesdays were a lot easier to have off from work. But yeah, so roughly 2 times a week, and looking back on it, it's like, that was a decent involvement, but at the time it was like, well, you're just hanging out with your friends, it's just, these are your friends, this is just, all these people care about you.
Right. And how long were you in it for?
Altogether, I was in it that whole time frame of either end of junior through all of senior.
Okay.
That's when I was, at full involvement.
Yeah.
Summer happened. I was fully involved for all of the summer, and then that's when I started my freshman year at Otterbein, which, and I'll get back to it when we kind of go back a little bit, but, I was they tried to talk me out of going to Otterbein and, going to OSU instead, living in one of the campus houses.
Right. Yeah, we'll get to the houses.
Yeah, we'll get to the houses. But at that point, I was working 40 hours a week, and I was doing 16, full credit hours at Otterbein. I literally was if I was lucky, I was making one, every 2 weeks, and every time I did, that's when they were starting to really make me feel, bad about not being
why aren't you more involved?
Why aren't you here? Maybe you need to not be working so much. Maybe you need to not be taking so many credit hours. And I'm at the time, I took it as a perceived, actually genuine caring about me, at the beginning part of this, because it's I probably am wearing myself, because I was feeling myself getting worn out. I was,
right.
My grades were shit my whole freshman year at Otterbein. And it's at the time it seemed genuine, but as the year was going on and they're getting more and more aggressive about it, I'm it's literally just because I'm not going to be at this, because I was starting to work a little bit less, just trying to give myself free time just to not be doing shit. And they're okay, well, now that you've got that free time, you need to be back down here at these again. And
I don't need to be anywhere.
And downtown from where I lived in the suburbs, it's not a far drive, but with traffic and everything, it'd take about half an hour, 45 minutes to get to each one of these things. You'd be there for 2-3 hours, and then you'd have another by that point it'd be nighttime, so it'd be a lot faster back. Right. 15 minutes to drive back. So it's taking a solid 4 hours out each day. Then I got to go right back to school the next morning. Do it all over again. It just, I couldn't do it, and I just kind of stopped showing up completely. I got a whole lot of, messages, texts, all that crap, we haven't seen you at all, where, whatever, and I was I just literally can't, and then I just got nothing.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, I tried asking about one when I finally had, completely cut my hours down. I was not doing, very much work, and I was okay, I got a little more free time, I'll try and connect back up. I was so, which place will we meet at? What time? I texted one of the people. They were just really, this time. To, it wasn't friendly in any way. It was literally just that house, that time. I was oh, what's the address? To, on that street. They didn't, even give me an address. It's
yeah.
Okay,
if you want to be here, you'll make it.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
We're testing you.
Got there. Everyone was just being really weird to me, pretty much ignoring me completely. And I was okay. And I left. And I tried messaging people. Nothing.
Yeah.
I tried talking to people. Nothing. I mean, even in the lead up to this, I tried messaging a couple of people that I used to be friends with in the thing, and I haven't talked to them literally since any of this. Like, I look at my messenger history on Facebook, and it's like, the last message I sent to them was in 2012.
Right.
I sent them shit, they read it, they did not respond. And I didn't even say, like, you know, I was talking about I had some questions about Xenos. It wasn't even like, you know, we're doing.
Well, and that's the thing is they're probably told, hey, don't talk about it outside of it. You know, if someone starts asking you questions, don't tell them. I mean, you know, in reading up about this and knowing about it, you know, over the years, I mean, I have seen some pretty clear parallels to like Scientology and other cult-like organizations that happen all around the world. You know, in Scientology, once you're in, and if anyone starts asking questions about it, specifics, it doesn't seem interested in joining, but just wants to know more about it, you know, you cut off ties with those people. You disconnect. Yeah. You know, these are toxic people to you. You know, and the church doesn't. They don't tell you why. Well, they tell you the reason why is because they're trying to, you know, thwart your organization. They're trying to you know, get you not to believe in what you believe anymore. They're trying to change your mind. These are the devil's minions coming and trying to tell you that what you're doing is not good. And these people who have been with the organization for so long, that's all they know at this point. You know, with Xenos, it's like their big thing is they target younger kids. Either you're like born into it, like your parents have been a part of the organization for years, or you know they go to these high schools and they get the because my sister was telling me a lot about this because she had some close friends who the cooler kids, and they target those kids. You know, they go to the sports. They try and get all the kids who are in sports to be a part of this because oh wow, the cool soccer captain or whatever is part of Xenos. So I'm going to come and do this with them too. And so they entrap people like that. It's they rope them in with this promise of this is better for you. You should come in. You should do this with us. And then once you're in, and once you've been in for such a long time, everything else in the world around you is just gone.
Yeah. Because
that's all you believe at this point. And if anyone is saying anything to the contrary, oh, they're just lying. They're demons. They're just trying to trick me. They're trying to do this and
it's not us, it's you.
It's us. It's that us and them mentality, and it's toxic to live that way. It's hard for me to wrap my head around not being open to outside ideas or being so that feeling of like being trapped inside of something. And even if you wanted to try to leave, it's like you don't have anything outside of it. All of your friends are inside of that because you've disconnected with all the friends outside of it.
Yeah, and you may have even been told while you were in the organization that your family that you may not be there to support you, or that the things that you've done in the past can't necessarily be forgiven by your family, so that we are your family now, and that you should hold us above whatever other outside family that you have, and then that might actually cause degradation of your real biological family, and then you may start to feel that you can't go back, you can't leave, because at this point you've hurt them and that they don't want to accept you back, which is not true.
Yeah. There's a good amount of those stories on there where people are saying, like, I'm still in Xenos, but I'm scared because, like, literally at this point it's my entire life. There's every person I interact with, the person I married, the everything, like, it's all in the pursuit of Xenos. It's all dedicated to that.
Yeah. It's moving towards that next step, I was saying, whatever that might be, to be a group leader, to be a home church leader, to be a discipler, to go from a discipled relationship to being a discipler. to eventually donating your money, getting married, having babies, and starting the cycle over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's always sounded to me like a big old pyramid scheme. Of you get the people on the bottom to reach out and get as many people as possible, and once you've acquired a group of people and you've worked your way up in the church, you get to move up that next level. Oh, and then and then the further up you go, the more indoctrinated you are, the less likely you are to leave. The less likely you are to question the things that you've been told to do or cover up or, say to people to control them, to keep them in the church. And these people's entire lives and livelihood is just revolved around this. And to me, it's just messed up.
And we can talk about this more later, I think. But the other part of that is that a lot of these people, have come broken and have, maybe accepted Christ and have started developing what they perceive to be a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and they are misinterpreting the Bible due to the way that they've been taught the Bible, so that they think now that that they can't be Christian, that this is what Christianity is, and that they can't ever be anything other than what they've been defined as by this church, which is not really what the Bible is saying, and a lot of the things that they're misinterpreting.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Is like the two of you are still religious. I'm not, but it just seems like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
that's why I was saying we talk about.
No, I know, but like the interpretation that this organization is taking seems to be less of a following of the teachings of Christianity and more of just let's acquire as many people as possible to build our organization.
Yes.
And that's how Scientology is run too, because the way that they Scientologists market it as not really a religion at first to people. It's come in, see the sense of community. Oh, you seem to be experiencing a lot of bad feelings in your life. There's and then you get placed with an auditor or a mentor, who you tell all of your personal feelings to. They're keeping records of this, and I don't know for sure if Xenos does this as well, but I'm assuming that when you go one-on-one with these people and you're telling them all these things about your life, they're keeping track of that.
They may take a written record, but
yeah.
the more, I would say it's more recorded in the sense of, if Alex is my discipler and I share with him something I'm going through, Alex is going to tell somebody else in his organization.
It's that accountability.
It gets kind of spread out to everybody, and then eventually, in some cases that I've heard, which I won't share today, the telephone effect event starts to happen.
We got to take a break.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a first break, but we will be right back.
Let's thank our legitimate, actual sponsor.
Yeah.
Again, Xenos is a cult, because this literally would not be possible without xenosisacult.com.
Yeah, so thank you. I'll leave it as a link to that website in the description. And we'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. So we're gonna take the second segment to talk about the second bullet point. Yes.
Basically, one of the other things, and especially if you're someone who's outside of Ohio listening to this, you're probably wondering, how do they control without being noticed so much by society? Even in Ohio, there's plenty of people who've heard of Xenos, but not so many people who are like, I don't even know what it is, I just know it's Christian, they don't necessarily... It doesn't have that external, immediate, negative reaction the way that, you hear Scientology.
Scientology, especially because of people like Leah Remini, who have come out, and the ex... Oh, what's that guy's name? He used to be pretty high in the church, and he was excommunicated, and because he left, and his whole family's shunned him, and and he's had like stalkers and stuff come and try and discredit him. But those people who have come out and like appeared on documentaries and stuff and have spoken publicly about it, there's not a lot of that because this is more of like, you know, just this one city's version of that.
Well, I mean, Xenos is around other parts of Ohio as well. It's just it's concentrated,
pretty concentrated here in Columbus
into our city. But you know, I think honestly a big part of it is the people who had those bad scenarios, these awful things that happened to them in the group. They really felt like they were the only one, or that there wasn't anything else happening.
It's not us, it's you.
Yeah, and that's why this website. Again, I'm not to continually just plug the website, but like
plug the shit
I legitimately think that like
do your own research, guys.
Well, yes, I mean, get onto the website and read the stories of people and see the. I guarantee you'll find at least one on there if you were in Xenos and had a negative experience. You'll find at least one on there that's similar to something that you did and felt, or like, you know, someone else in your group that, you know, just disappeared out of nowhere and you weren't given a real reason as to why they weren't showing up anymore, or you know, they just stopped showing up and you were given a ridiculous reason that wasn't true about why they weren't there anymore. And I think that's part of how they're able to be so big and massive and not be like thought of in that way, because they really, you're so into this feeling of being in this giant group that when you don't want to be a part of it anymore, you're not a part of it anymore, you just feel like there's got to be something wrong with you. Like,
and there's not.
Yeah,
there is not. If you are having these feelings, it's not just you. There are hundreds of people who have felt this way.
Yeah, like when I was, you know, finally done and out of it, you know, like I'd said, I was pretty depressed in my time before starting Xenos. You know, they took me up to the highest of highs of making me feel like I mattered and that these people around me gave a shit about me. But by the end, and seeing how quickly I just didn't even exist, I was at an even lower point afterwards than I was before. And, like, you know, even to this point in my life, I've found myself struggling with all of my personal relationships with the people around me because, and it sounds dumb saying it now in context, but I just subconsciously, you know, in the back of my head, I'm always just kind of like, am I actually friends with these people, or is there just some sort of a duty or service that I'm providing to them?
Right. Yeah,
that's the reason as to why they're being my friend right now, because it sounds dumb, but like at one point I thought I had like 70 people who loved me, and
they did at that time.
Or yeah, at least they thought they did, because that's what they were told to do.
In the span of a week, I didn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
you know, it's just
that's how fickle it can be, and that's the issue with these cults is they try and contain as much as possible about what they are about. So on the surface level, just looks like, you know, another religious organization. That, you know, recruits young people or, you know, has a sense of community. But then when you dig deep, the deeper that you dig, the more you expose that it's fucked up. They do all this messed up stuff. It's controlling. It ruins people's lives, and you know, unless there's a big outcry or a big wave of pushback against them, you know, nothing's ever going to change. These people's lives are just going to be destroyed or just completely manipulated for the rest of their lives, because there's very little out there. And that's the problem is that I've heard that they have a lot of ties to different parts of the city.
They've got their toes dipped in
a
lot more than you think that.
Yeah, as far as the business side of it, you have a little more knowledge about that.
Well, business, entertainment, some written media.
Yeah, some local political influence.
they've done SEO influences. So it used to be a few years ago, if you would type Xenos into Google, it would come up as Xenos is a cult ? Or is Xenos a cult? And they've done a lot of work to kind of prevent that from happening by doing strategic SEO, social search engine optimization, to prevent those types of articles from coming up, and literally paying their way to the top of the Google searches so that when you search for Xenos, you see love, you don't see corruption.
Yeah, even now, like even with this website that's been growing and clearly gaining an intense amount of traffic because you have that many stories on there. You've clearly had a large amount of individual user views. You've had people most likely searching into Google, like Xenos is a cult, stuff like that. It still was not showing up in like just a search on Google. I had to like completely type the website name, and then afterwards it was showing up because by that point it's been.
Your computer remembers you've been there.
Yeah, like Google knows that I've been, Google knows that I know that website exists, so it can't hide it from me.
Does Google know?
Google knows.
Google knows everything.
But at first, I'm like, oh my god, did this website already get taken down? Like, I'm scrolling, just Xeno. Like,
they have HTTPS encryption on their website to prevent them from getting hacked. I just noticed that they have the lock button.
Oh, yeah. That's just basic cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's just.
But
that's
WordPress,
just
you don't get that on WordPress. Somebody is invested into this.
Oh yeah,
to keep this
okay.
protected from outside influence.
Well, once again to bring up Scientology, because listen to me, there's insurmountable parallels between them. But a similar thing happened. That guy that left and he started his own website. I gotta look up his name. I'll have it here or something.
It's like 3 first names, isn't it?
Something I forget, but
because I remember you told me his name, and I'm like, that's the most
because
forgettable name
he's
I've
pretty
ever
prominent in Going Clear, the HBO documentary.
I can just look it up while you're talking.
But you can do that, please. When you try and search his name on Google or try and find his website, right above that is a Scientology sponsored website that is discrediting him and saying, "Oh, he's a liar. He used to beat his wife and he used to do all these terrible things." And that's what these.
But even if he did that thing, that doesn't make what they did to him right.
He didn't, by the way. But yeah, no, that's exactly. I mean, that's
what
that's
was that documentary called again?
Going Clear.
Going Clear.
Yeah, he used to be pretty prominent in the church. He was like David Miscavige's like secondhand man. But anyway, but that's what they do. They justify their shitty behavior by saying, "Oh, well, this guy did this," or even if it's made up. They just come up with all this terrible stuff, and then that's I don't know.
Mark Rathbun?
That might be it. I think it was Mark. But anyway,
Mike Render.
Mike Render. It's Mike Render. Yeah, that's what his name is.
Who the fuck is Spanky?
Yeah, if you type, it's whoismikerender.com. I think that's what it is.
Liaison to John Travolta. That's why.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I was talking about Spanky.
Oh, Spanky. Yeah, she was in the documentary too. But anyway. So that's what was I talking?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I told you.
I don't know. I wish we could go back 30 seconds because I had something to add.
No. Okay, so that's what they do. They make up these things, but I don't know specifically what Xenos has done. But to a lesser extent, from what I have heard is, they hear, oh, you're not doing something that the church approves of, so you're gone. You're out. We're blacklisting you basically, and to them that's a justification of their shitty behavior or the unethical things that they do because we don't like what you're doing, so you're gone.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that in that when you're involved in this church, if you have, we'll just say instead of bad things, your sin is. If you're sharing that sin with your church, you are forgiven for that. You are not, viewed as a lesser being or anything like that. But then as soon as you might leave, they might go and expose you for what those things you had done.
Right.
And just like what you said, it's like, hey, this guy who was part of Scientology left, and then they start saying that he hit his wife. And, he may have slipped up and accidentally slapped his wife one day and went to the person that he confided in and said, hey, I really messed up this week. I slapped my wife. and then they flip it around, and then they share it with everybody else after you leave that.
Right. Which...
So it's like
Right.
you're in the organization, and it's okay for you to be bad. You don't have to be perfect. But then as soon as you leave that, your imperfection could just be shared with everybody, so that you are viewed as a bad person.
Right.
Any bad thing you've ever done is suddenly public knowledge to everybody. It's like, this person left, and by the way, they were a gay cheater who beat their whatever.
Yeah, like, can you imagine if whenever you left, like, the Catholic Church...
I was just about to bring that up.
Why can I not think of the term? The man who takes your confession, the...
I don't know.
Priest?
Usually, they say, Father, I have sinned.
Yeah,
the
that
Father.
guy. If he just immediately turned around and he was like, well, you know what?
Remember
Peter
that?
told me about how he's doing heroin again, but he's not in the Catholic Church anymore, so fuck him. He's doing heroin.
No, that is exactly what I was going to bring up. Is like, listen, I'm not a supporter of any organized religion, really.
Yeah, we know.
But all right, no, but at least give credit to those churches that are like, you go into a confessional and you're telling stuff. They're not going around telling people.
You're protected.
You are protected because that is your personal relationship with your God or Jesus or whatever you believe in. The fucked up part of Xenos is, it's like this rumor mill that gets started around. It's like
your business is everybody's
yeah.
business.
I was having unpure thoughts about a girl or something, and then you tell that to one person, and then you're going around. Next thing you know, Susie's a slut, and it's like, no. That's not cool. That is emotional manipulation. That is not trying to better yourself through your religion.
And that's
everybody knows. The more you feel bad about what you have done. So, and the more you feel like you need to prove yourself to this group of people that you are not that person that you have been defined as.
Yeah, because you implicate yourself, and then the pressure is what keeps you down and, isolated down and afraid to act out, lash out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty good example of how they control without being noticed by society.
Right. So,
which will take us into our third point that I want to focus on.
Yeah.
Which is, just what goes on under the surface.
Right.
And that's part of what we've talked about.
Yeah, we've kind of touched on that a bit.
One of the things we really want to get back to is the actual group homes.
Oh,
and the campus housing, and
here's where things start to get weird.
All of that shit.
Yes.
There's, you're forced to adopt this monitoring technology.
Spyware.
Basically.
Oh, like on your phone and
on
stuff.
It
your
could
computer.
be now.
Yeah.
Back when I was in there, smartphones weren't such a prevalent thing.
Right.
And, people used them, but they weren't like big. But I would imagine by now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Okay.
A little bit.
Go ahead.
In an organization that I was involved in, I was encouraged to not be using an iPhone because I could not protect myself from things on the internet by being able. And the person that was telling us this was telling us how they had a pornography problem, and that they installed software on their phone that prevented them from being able to access pornography. And if they did access pornography, their wife would get an alert or something, and they would be held accountable to their actions.
The dreaded pornography. Ooh. But they'll put what? Yes,
I don't know any
spyware
program names or anything like that.
Right,
but I know
But monitoring software.
Monitoring
there's parental guidance, or parental monitoring
it's
software
essentially like that because it just you have like specific categories of websites and it like sends the alert to whoever's responsible for you, like, hey, he got on to
Bigjugs.com,
Victoria's Secret,
right? Or whatever.
Kohl's catalog.
And then next thing you do, you're getting pulled aside and being told, "Hey, I saw that you were on this website."
But not only pulled aside, put in front of a panel of people.
Oh, right, a panel.
It's not even that it's just you. Like the very first time, it might be like you and a one-on-one.
Right.
Any times after that, it's you and the group.
But even you in a one-on-one capacity, like if you're at work and you get a verbal warning, they come up to you and like, hey, you need to work on this. You can't do this anymore. And then when that gets escalated, it gets, maybe you and your boss or your direct supervisor, like multiple people in that. But as soon as you share that one thing with one person, it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that to me was like one of the first when I was just my senior. I think it was the summer of senior year, and they were really trying to talk me into joining one of the homes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, they're telling me about the monitoring technology, and I'm just like, no. Yeah. And they're like, well, you need to be responsible, and I'm like, it's not even about that. Like,
that's a breach of privacy.
It's a breach of my privacy, and like,
because that's that you don't have this problem is not good enough for them.
Yeah,
right.
and it's just...
Well, that leads me to think, like, what else are they monitoring?
Well, and that's the thing, is they use it as that's the...
Right, we're protecting you from pornography, or we're protecting you from these bad websites that are giving you, also could be giving you false information or bad things about the church.
And that's what I was going to say, is where does that line get drawn
exactly.
into what they involve themselves in and don't involve themselves in? And
because they could be monitoring your emails, they could be monitoring who you talk to on Facebook, which they do. Who and on your phone, who are you texting, who are you sending pictures to, who what social media are you a part of? And now when that's so prevalent in like every aspect of our lives, it's like, why should you let some other organization tell you how to run your life? Why should you let that be a part of your life?
It's bad enough
because they feel that they cannot run their own. Because some of these people have been so broken in their life that they feel that they cannot run their life anymore, and that this is a better option for them than just being the failure that they are.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Which you aren't.
Well, there's
but you're made to feel that way.
We've known people that we don't want to give any specifics or any names, but people who have like had problems with getting into legal troubles or using drugs or stuff like that. And what the church does is they target people like that, people who are down on their luck, they're weak and vulnerable, and they get them to say, hey, you're not going to be like this anymore because we have your back. But then because they want to be better, they're easily manipulated and controlled by the organization. And that's what happens, and yeah, now we're good.
Oh, and one of the other odd things with the group housing is, obviously campus houses are not cheap because even though they're
do we want to explain the group housing a little more, what that is?
Yeah,
okay, I was
gonna do that.
So.
Like, campus houses are not cheap.
Right.
But they're...
Also known as ministry houses. So if you're reading about this, campus housing, ministry housing...
I was just talking about, like, in general, students at OSU renting houses on campus is not cheap.
Yeah.
Even though they're shitty.
$300-400 a person, 3-4 people living in a house.
Way more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some places where it's like $500-600. Like my sister has like a little 1-bedroom like studio, and she pays like $500 or something just for like this. It's literally one room and a bathroom.
Yeah, and that's an apartment roughly equivalent to the size of ours down on campus is going to be about $2,000-3,000.
Oh yeah, we got a
But the thing is, in the ministry houses, which are groups of college age students that live together,
all men or all women,
all in support of Xenos, that all cram together like sardines into a house down on campus.
Yeah, they'll have something of like
up to 30 people in a house.
Yeah,
I never saw anything that extreme in my time. I have heard about that, but just in my experiences with the houses that I was in around, they were about 4 or 5 bedroom. There was about 10 people living in those houses, between like the basement and people sharing rooms and having stuff shoved together.
Yeah.
And, like usually just whoever the head was probably one of the only people who had their own room in the house. But even accounting for how expensive campus housing is, they would be paying rates like every single person in that house would be paying about $800. And I'm like, they were telling me, like, how much you'd be paying to live. Like, if you're going to live in this house, it's going to be about $800 a month, just for the rent, let alone
right? Because you're not splitting it. But you're
paying what they want you to pay.
You're paying exactly. They're controlling it. They're taking a cut of that and putting it towards which that's part of the business.
Well, on the west side, I've got some experience with this. They have one of the girls' ministry houses. I had talked to one of the girls about how much they were paying in rent, and because this guy was talking about wanting to move out and why why it was a good thing versus getting his own place somewhere. And they've got at least on the west side, they've got Cape Cod style houses, so roughly 970 to 1,200 square feet, with 10, 12 people living in there, paying $300, $400 a month.
See,
which 10 times 300 is how much?
Well, yeah, it's
3,000.
That's a lot.
My mortgage is $680 a month for a same size house.
Yeah. And so where's that money going? So
yeah,
but I have a friend who's been a family friend for since I was born or whatever, and my mom was telling because she was talking to his mom that he was trying to get people were trying to get him roped into that. Like, oh, move into the campus housing, it'll be great, a bunch of dudes all living together, and he was like checking it out, and he would literally be living on a mat like a small mattress in their living room. No privacy, no room, nowhere to put your objects, because that's their whole thing is their your personal possessions or whatever. It's all you don't need that shit. That's all. That's not a part of what we are. We it's about the church, and you're in here, and everything that you own belongs to this community.
Well, and what I saw, you were allowed your own private possessions.
Oh, no, I know, but it was more important to not have the lifestyle that most people live.
Yeah,
well, and they also don't believe in having success. Well, not necessarily success. They don't believe in having money or material things. They believe in community and fellowship. Not necessarily success in wealth or whatever.
In principle, is not bad, but in the way that they go about it, that's not how you should be living your life.
It's a means for manipulation, not a mechanism for success.
Exactly.
It's funny to be talking about this because specifically, I forgot to bring it up when I was talking about it, specifically in the history of Xenos on their specific website.
Yeah.
They literally mention about the fact of how their donation numbers relative to their amount of active followers at the church at the time, this was around like 80 or whatever, but it specifically went out of its way to mention how they were getting a ridiculously low return in the website of the church's history, that they were getting an insufficient return of money per person who was in there. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right.
They're just trying to create this perception that this is one of the things on methods of control section on the website, is that they're trying to create this perception that they need the money more than you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you need to get
that's how Scientology works too. You got to pay into it, and if you're not paying your fair share, then you can take a hike.
And I'll read this real quick.
Okay.
In the section on the website, XenosIsACult.com, under the Methods of Control section, there's a Follow the Money bullet point. Follow the money. Xenos college members constantly pressure each other to donate money to the group, even if the member is poor. This keeps Xenos members broke, which likely leads to low serotonin levels, making them reclusive and vulnerable to further control, and floods the group with income from thousands of college students who then go to start families that create Xenos babies.
Yeah. And piggybacking off of the Xenos babies, let's next go into the concept of the pressures of marriage that they impose upon people to get married at just ridiculously young ages. They, a fair amount. Not that they talk to me, but I still have them added on Facebook and various social medias. so many of the people that I know, they're like 24, 25, they're already married, and not that that's necessarily bad, because I mean, you married at a young age, but it's people that
my reasons for marrying were different than what these people have imposed on them.
And it's also people that they've been directly involved with for very short periods of time. Like, you've been closely involved with this person for like 5-6 months. All of a sudden, they're married. Like, it's just crazy. Like, it's funny because even the way that Facebook will like tag people in like things or whatever when they have like their life events.
It's been a relationship for 3 months.
Yeah, you like see it's like, oh, they've been quoted as being in a relationship for like less than a year. Now they're married. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but considering the trend of this, it's not like those are anomalies. It seems to be a prevalent issue.
Yeah, it's a pressure thing more than like individuals saying, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you,"
with this specific person. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, with that, we'll take another short break and we'll be back to wrap this up. We'll just do like a little short segment, just kind of wrap the rest of this up.
Yeah, Bryn's got to watch his soccer game.
The World Cup is on right now.
Come on, Uncle Dan, talk about soccer.
This is I want to say this is very important, but at the same time, I do want to watch the World Cup. I gotta see who wins. Okay, whatever.
Wait, can't you get that on DVR and just turn your phone off until it's all done?
Huh? I don't have DVR, man. Do I look like I'm made of money?
Yeah, we don't even have cable.
Well, I don't know, man. You're wearing a Nirvana shirt and a suit coat. Pretty made of money to me.
Oh yeah, made of money. Look at me.
All right, we'll see you guys after the break. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the third segment.
Welcome. So let's move on to our final
the most important part, which is why do people stay in Xenos? And I want to preface this by saying something I actually meant to say much earlier in here, which is we're bringing up issues with the not company the organization.
As
thank
I've been
you.
Calling it.
The organization itself, but I do just want to say, it's not like every single person in Xenos is bad. Like, there are plenty of good, great people in Xenos. I did meet some genuinely good people in my time there, Yeah. And just because they've been blinded by the organization that they're in, that doesn't necessarily make them a bad person. Like,
right. They're not inherently bad people.
Yes, especially when you've grown up your entire life in this, and this is everything that you know. Yeah. I just wanted to add that out there. We're not saying, you're a bad person if you're in Xenos. Like, everyone in Xenos is a bad person. Like, there's plenty of good and great people that are involved in Xenos and are genuinely hoping to spread fellowship, spread the word. They think that they're making the world a better place,
Right.
Just as I'm sure that there are some people in Scientology who probably believe that as well.
Oh, no. That's everyone that has left has said that when they were in it, they felt like they were doing something to change the world. Because they were told they were.
Yeah.
And so these aren't inherently bad people. It's just that once you become a part of something like this, you're completely blinded by your mission and by what you've been told. And that doesn't mean that you're stupid or that you're evil or you're a bad person. And despite what the organization might tell you,
you've been groomed to be this way.
Exactly.
Yes.
And just as easily as it is to be manipulated into this, you can get out. Yeah. You can think for yourself. You can realize that you are being lied to.
Your family still loves you.
Yes, yeah. and people still care about you.
Your friends still care about you.
Yes.
And that takes us to our most important question regarding Xenos, which is why do people stay in it? And it's kind of a culmination of everything that we've said, the past however many minutes, like
59
minutes. So much for this being a very, very short episode.
Yeah, that's cool.
You feel like this intense love. You feel like you matter to these people. Mm-hmm. You're like, why would I ever want to leave? These are my friends. I spend every day with my friends and growing as a Christian, growing as a person, giving my all in the pursuit of spreading the word. Like, why would I ever want to leave? That's how they keep so many people... And that's not the only way, but that's... I think, for the most part, that's one of the biggest ways. That
at least the casual Xenos goer, if you can even say casual.
There's no such thing. You're
not.
There's no such thing as lukewarm into this. You're either hot or you're not.
Right. But for the most part, people stay in because of those reasons, because they don't have anything else.
Yeah.
They don't have anywhere else to go or anyone else to talk to or anyone else to turn to because they've been groomed into thinking they don't have anything.
And that's
else.
because they're being controlled. They're being controlled, and they're operating.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's no longer a personal religious journey. It's you're being told what your journey is.
And you're just being used to spread out and expand and gain even more money. And it's like when you were saying about them targeting specific people, like, Billy in the soccer club. And I remember there was one person specific story on there. They're like, I literally feel like I was just used as like some sort of a demographic breachhead. Like, I was literally just used to get into this group of people over here. That's the only reason that they made such a concentrated effort to come after, not me specifically. I did not matter at all to Xenos, but whoever that person was in the story, and I'm sure that they were hardly the only time that they specifically used a person to get at a group of people.
Yeah,
well, I knew a girl in high school who struggled with an eating disorder, and once she graduated high school, she started going to school at Ohio State, and then I found out that she got involved in this church, and then now she seems to be so happy and all this thing, and you can just tell that by looking at her photos and stuff. I feel like I can see that, she's not necessarily healed of this thing. She's just been love bombed to the point where she feels like she is healed.
Right. It's a trick. It's a big trick. And even like my sister, when she was still in high school, she had a group of friends that got her to, start going to Xenos and be a part of it. And she got the fuck right out of there, like, real quick. Like, she saw right through that bullshit. And like, I at the time had talked to her about it because, I was pretty, back at that. Yeah, right. I've grown up a little bit since then. I'm not going around constantly. Well, I don't just go around attacking people like, oh, you're fucking stupid if you believe in this.
Unless your name is Donald Trump.
Well, yeah. But I don't think anyone that is religious is stupid. It's just not what I believe. But that's just that we're sidetracking here. But I definitely frown upon organized religion. Especially in this context of being a cult and manipulating people and their lives. But anyway, and after my sister got out of that, in the very brief time she was there, her friends who she had been friends with for years and had only had exposure to this organization for a short time, they cut off all ties with her. And there was a I don't want to call out my sister here, but there was a period of time where she really didn't have close friends because of that. And she's doing great now. And
I was in the same boat when your camera died. It's good. This one's still on.
Okay, whatever.
But yeah, I completely understand that boat because that's where I was after.
I'm wondering if there was a story you told me about one of our customers at work who shamed the gay brother. Or one of Megan's friends in high school was coming out as being gay.
Oh yeah,
is that part of that, or do you not know?
I don't know if he was in Xenos specifically.
Let's not.
I know.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to bring it up and start talking about it. I was wondering.
Right. No, but I do know that those are things that they do. Is they shun homosexuality, and that is a parallel. They were a religious family, but he's gay. And he had a secret boyfriend for a while, and then he kind of had to like push that in the back of his head, because his religious leaders and friends were like, oh, you can't be doing that, you can't be doing that. I don't know if he was directly tied to Xenos.
Okay, well,
I'd have to ask my
we should
sister.
move on.
Well, but it is a similarity of, because there are still Christian groups out there that do shun homosexuality, and if you even have those thoughts, it's you're going to conversion camp. You're like fucking piece of shit Mike Pence believes. But that is things that Xenos is totally fine with, is shunning these people and bringing and telling everyone around them that they're associated with is, oh, look what they're doing. Oh, you got to cut ties with them because they're having thoughts of having sex with another man, and it's like, that's fucked up.
There is a girl who may come onto our show to share her story, and I'll just share very briefly what happened to her whenever she came out of the closet. She was dating another man in Xenos, and she told her boyfriend that she was having these feelings, that she believes that she's gay, and that she always has been, and that she's been repressing it by dating men and following what she believes society to be right. And she tells her boyfriend this. Her boyfriend then goes and tells her discipler. Her discipler then goes and tells the other members of the church, and then, or you need to cut that. You need to bleep the name. But then the person who said, they were then put in front of all of their peers, and basically she was living in a ministry house, and then she was told that, she had 3 months left on her lease. She was told that she needed to get her things out of the house within a week, and that she was not allowed to be part of the organization anymore. And then she was completely shunned, all contact, all forms of communication removed. Mm-hmm. That's just a very small part of what this girl has to share with us. But just since we got into the treatment of gays in the organization, I felt I needed to share that real quick.
Yeah. And so, do we have anything else to just wrap it up?
Yeah, I just want to kind of put a little bow on this. Not really a bow, I guess.
Put a happy little bow on this cult.
Put a bow of chainmail or barbed wire.
Let's put a chastity belt on this bitch.
Sorry, guys.
You're fine. You're fine. I just want to say, hopefully, to those of you guys who do listen to us, and we appreciate every single person who listens to the words that come out of our mouths. Like, hopefully, this was eye-opening for some of you. Maybe you were like, I'd only ever heard of Xenos because, like, that one weird kid went to it, or that one kid who I didn't, something like that.
Right.
Like, hopefully, we're just hoping to draw attention to this movement, to this.
Because this is something we feel very passionate about,
yes.
and wanted to at least spend an entire episode just talking about because because this, I feel this is very important, especially because we're. It's local to us, and we've known people who have been affected by this, and we do want to get this message out.
Yeah, this.
So if you are watching this and have come to the end here, I mean,
the best thing you can do is share.
Yeah,
I was
share. Share this. Share the website. Talk to people who may be affected by this. Get the message across, because this is something that I think needs to be more addressed around the area, that these sort of things are happening, and we're definitely probably going to do a follow up on this.
Hopefully, yeah.
I mean, if you guys know anyone that would be interested in coming on and talking to us, I mean, we are absolutely open to having a member of the church come on. And defend their side.
We want to get all sides of this story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I attempted to, like I said, reach out to several current members. They just didn't want to talk to me.
Right,
but
they're not allowed.
Well,
they possibly are not
probably,
allowed.
But just please go to the website. Xenos is a cult. Just read some of these stories.
Yeah.
Read the absolute just awful
Madness.
shit that has happened to some of these people. Because, like, I almost even just felt dumb even sharing my story today, because I'm like, compared to the shit that some of the people on this website have gone through, my experience was pretty nothing. Like, I didn't face abuse. I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't have anything near the horrible experience that some people in this group did.
Yeah.
It's just like, just read some of these, submit your own story if anything happened to you in your time there. I mean, fuck, even if you don't, just send it to us if you want us to tell it, like,
Yeah, we'll
anything.
yeah.
Just,
Share your story on the website.
yeah, I mean, that's probably the best part, but or the best thing to do.
But also don't.
But I mean, yeah,
don't
reach
be
out to-
afraid to
Share with others.
share with others, share publicly.
Yeah, share with
because,
others.
I realize it is scary for a lot of people to talk about it because of, if they either still have ties but just know that there are people out there who will support you.
Yeah.
We will support
And, like,
you.
yeah, seriously, feel free to reach out to us. We also, Xenos as a Cult has an Instagram account and a Facebook page. We also have an Instagram account and a Facebook page. Reach, if you don't feel comfortable submitting it anywhere else, you can send it to us. DM us on there. You could reach me directly through that. Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
we'll talk to
Your story is important.
your
It
story
deserves
is
to be heard.
important, and don't feel like it's not. Don't feel like it's not. Don't feel like you're stupid. Don't feel anything bad about yourself for this, because you are hardly the only person, as the website itself can fucking prove.
Yeah. So thanks for sticking around. We will be back next week.
Hopefully next week's a little lighter of a topic.
Yeah, we might talk about some stuff, but we're definitely going to do some follow up on this. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks as always.
We literally couldn't have done this without Mark and everyone over at xenosasacult.com. So thank you so much to you guys, because you guys made this episode possible.
Thank
See
you
ya.
for your service.
Yeah. See ya.